All right, Aboro Aboye. Aboye Aboshishe. Happy Friday. Blessings on this wonderful, wonderful day, April 3rd, 2020. Hope all is well with you and your loved ones. We're here for lessons in leadership in crisis. This is our fourth lesson. It's going to be a good one. I hope you're going to find it useful. I've had a good time, putting it together, just making some notes, simple things, nothing too elaborate, but poignant, appropriate for the time that we're in right now. And so I'm going to give the good people a couple of minutes, as always, to join us because it takes a minute for people to get themselves situated. Whoops, sorry. And always, we want to have Brother Kunde give us those Dahomey and lullabies. So I'm going to give folks a little time to join us. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Blessings to you. Have y'all been applying the lessons? That's what I want to know now. Have you listened to lessons 1, 2, and 3? And have you been able to discuss them with other people or put them into use in any way? I'd like to hear about, your experience thus far. Um, and if you haven't, then no time like the present. You can make it. If you haven't, make it a commitment to yourself that over the next 24 hours, you're going to start to apply these lessons. At the very least, start talking to other people about it. Let's do it like that. Going forward, I want you to look at these lessons, listen to these lessons, and at least within the next 24 hours, I want you to tell 3 people about what you've learned, what you've heard in these 3 lessons, and start some discussion with people about how to lead in a crisis. Okay, this is a unique opportunity. Crisis is not every day, right? It creates very unique opportunities, and it allows you to realize very special things within yourself and within your environment, because there's a radical difference in your reality. There's a radical difference not only in your reality, but in the reality of, in this case, everybody in the world. You got to take that into consideration. What's happening right now isn't localized. It's not limited to one group of people or another. It's happening all over the world. How many times in your lifetime can you remember a single experience having the same impact on everybody in the world? Like, everybody's at home. Everybody's at home. Or everybody is where they were when the crisis started. I think some people are, I've heard people coming home and they're having a really hard time getting back in the country and stuff like that. But for the most part, the overwhelming majority of the people are at home. They're in their home countries, in their residences. That's powerful. That's a very, very unique kind of a situation. And every industry is being impacted, some more than others. But this is really special. So I don't want you to, you know, take it for granted. I need you to really pay attention to what's going on and respond accordingly. That's what these lessons in leadership during crisis are all about. All right. So we're gonna let Brother Kunde, as I said, we're gonna rock out with him through this little tune and let people join us, and then we'll get started with the lesson 4. And lesson 4 is all about investing in your future. Um, Good day, George. How are you? Hope all is well. This is about investing in your future. That's what lesson number 4 is about. Investing in your future. All right. Investing in your future. Taking the long, the long perspective, looking deeper onto the horizon, right? So, with that in mind, let's give folks like 2 more minutes. If you need to get some water or something like that, now's the time to do it. And we're gonna start going. Blessings, blessings. I see folks rolling in little by little, bit by bit. Likewise, you know what? If you know people who you think would benefit from some lessons in leadership in crisis, invite them to join the live. That would also be fantastic. Invite folks to join us. You know what I mean? While you're waiting, if you got everything in place, you got your water, you got your pen, you got your paper, and you're ready. Take a second and invite a few people, right? Especially because I want you to, in the next 24 hours, I want you to talk to at least 3 people. Maybe the people who you will talk to are the ones that you can tag. They're the ones that you can invite to join us in the live right now. That way, y'all are talking about the same thing. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that? Think about 3 people who you want to invite to the conversation, and bring them in so we can talk about leadership lessons in crisis today. Investing in your future, taking the long perspective. All right, magnificent. Let's do this. Blessings to you all. This is the School of Orisha Studies, the Orisha Lifestyle Academy. I'm your Oluo Obafemi Origunwa. Today we're going to have another conversation on lessons in leadership during crisis. The focus of today's conversation is on investing in your future. Okay, investing in your future. Investing in your future. And that is so crucial because the nature of crisis is what? Is it draws your attention to right now, right? The nature of a crisis is that it makes you hyper concerned about all your basic needs, your food, your clothes, your shelter, right? All of those things are compromised or threatened during a crisis. And so at that point, it's typical for people to put their head down and focus on just what's happening right in front of them, right here, right now. Okay, you think about this moment, but this moment leads to another moment, and the next moment, and the moment after that form a bridge into the future. And as yesterday, I mentioned history is not over. History is not over. It's not a done deal. It's not a finished product that, like you don't look at history as a as a product like this. You know what I mean? This is not history. This is an account of history, but we're making history right now. All of our decisions are creating history moment by moment by moment. Okay? So even though it's tempting and compelling in a crisis to really focus on the moment, understand that the moments add up. Okay? So we're going to be in a different reality eventually. Okay? So what I want to do is reflect a little bit on where we are at this point to create more context for this conversation on taking the long haul, right? In order for you to appreciate, what I'm talking about, where we're going. The first lesson is on reality check. All right, your very first lesson in leadership in a crisis is reality check. And if you do the reality check, you're going to come out with a better understanding of how you have helped to co-create this reality. You're going to come out with a better understanding on how all of your decisions have positioned you in such a way that this situation impacts you the way that it does, for better or for worse. All right, so that's number one. Lesson number two is delegate authority. If you delegate authority, what you're basically doing is you're going to unburden yourself and you're going to let other people help you. All right. It's important that you let people help you, especially in the situation that we're in right now, where everybody's at home. Everybody has more control over their day, more control over their time. And so the people who are close to you, the people who know what you do and are in favor of helping you accomplish your immediate goals, let them help you. Let them be, let them use their free time and their free energy to support you. And likewise, you reciprocate. But that's the second lesson. It's crucial because in a crisis, it is, as I was saying before, it's tempting for you to just focus on what's in front of you. It's also tempting for you to just hunker down and in an effort to try to protect yourself, you just are gonna, kind of isolate yourself and try to do everything on your own. Just handle what's in front of you. Open up. Open up. Let people help you. Lesson number 3 is getting down to the root of the problem. And not only just getting to the root, but getting down to the base of the root. If you ever pull a weed, it's not just that you get to the root of the weed, but really you've got to get all the way down to the base of the root of that weed if you're going to really extract it. All right, so you got to look at your situation, be clear about how you helped to create it. You got to let people help you so that you can focus and you don't have to be running around trying to do all things. And you take the extra time and the effort to get all the way down to the base of the root of your problem, which means you've got to put your eyes on it. You got to put your hands on it. You got to make firsthand contact with the problem. Don't take second-hand information for granted. Don't take third-hand information. Someone said, who said. Go straight to where it is. Make direct contact. And when you make direct contact, get the full story. Don't be in such a hurry just to take, the superficial information. Ask follow-up questions. Clarify the responses. Take the time to take a breath and really reflect and introspect and internalize what you're being exposed to. Do everything you can to own that information and that experience so you really, really, really know what it is. That's what I mean by getting down to the root, getting down to the base of the root of the problem. So, for example, you may want to, everybody's talking about, again, you're talking about the market in China. They're talking about bats. They're talking about, all these laboratory origins or sources of the virus. People are talking about the jobs shutting down. They're talking about this industry being constricted. They're talking about that industry being shut down. We're talking about this business or that business going out. Those are all big picture things. They're important. They're important, but they only matter to the extent that they affect you personally. Why do they affect you the way that they do? And how have you put yourself into the situation where they do affect you the way that they do? If it's positive, then you want to be real clear about how you ended up in a positive position. If it's negative, you want to be real clear about how you've gotten yourself into a negative situation. Okay? And you want to be able to let other people help you in the process of, freeing up your time and your space to get deeper into it. And then as you start to do more research, you do more investigation, you start to get a better understanding of how the symptoms, right? Because the Wuhan market or this industry or your job all those are symptoms, right? As you get closer and closer and closer and closer to the base of the root of your problem, which is your decision making, which is the way, getting into your self-concept, the way you see yourself, that informs the way you make decisions. The deeper you get into that, the more clearly you understand how you see yourself and who you are and how you move to reinforce certain aspects of your self-concept, the closer you're getting to that base, right? It's all about you. It's all about you, okay? You may lead thousands of people. You may lead hundreds of people. But no matter what, personal leadership is at the root of every form of leadership. So you lead yourself. At the very least, what I'm talking about here, and when I'm saying leadership in crisis, is you lead yourself, folks. Okay? This is an opportunity for you to get deeper and deeper about your style of personal leadership. How have you been leading yourself? How have you been leading yourself? This crisis is the perfect moment for you to reinvent yourself. and take advantage of your unique strengths and your unique talents and your opportunities. But you've got to take the chance, right? I'm giving you the instructions. I'm giving you a roadmap. I'm introducing you to the process. Some people are following up. Some people are not, right? So I mean, it's up to you. But I'm making it as patently clear as I possibly can. This is a special, unique opportunity for you to reinvent yourself and emerge from this experience with something radically different, something precious, something valuable, something useful for yourself and the people who you're destined to serve. So, all that brings us to lesson number 4. All right, lesson number 4: plan for the long haul, invest into your future. We got a part of destiny that we call Orisi Waju. Orisi Waju. It's associated with, what people call the third eye. This is the aspect of your Ori that I refer to as providence. Providence is that aspect of your destiny that provides for you. What does it provide? On one hand, it provides vision. This is the aspect of your destiny that allows you to see things that don't necessarily exist. This is the creative aspect of destiny. Okay? And so right now, to appreciate that, what I want you to do is just look around. Look around, and kind of like take inventory of all of the things that are surrounding you right now. Look around you. Every single thing in your environment has been created. Every single thing in your environment has been created. Every book, every dish, every stitch of clothing, every piece of furniture, all of it has been created. Even if you look and there are trees and plants and flowers and insects and birds, all of those things have been created. All of those things were once a vision. They didn't have physical form. They were not tangible, right? But in the mind, they existed. They've always existed. They always will exist in the mind. That's the way the mind works, through images and symbols that carry energy. And part of the energy is just your ability to conjure that image, to conjure that symbol in your mind. That's the first contact with the energy. And then as you internalize that energy and start to absorb it and contemplate it and become familiar with it, it enables you to translate the vision into an action, and you can manifest that energy and you can start to create things. That's also a part of your Orisi Waju. It allows you to see things, envision things, and then it allows you to create things. It allows you to take the necessary steps to go from where you are to the end product. All right. So I want you to, understand that this is a part of destiny. It's an inborn quality. It's not something that only some people can create. You can create. You have been creating. It's your Orisi Waju that has provided for you up to this moment. It has been putting all of the necessary resources, contacts, and experiences on the road of life so that when you get to certain checkpoints, you find what you need. I like to use the analogy of a marathon, right? A marathon, people don't just get out and just run any old track. It's a planned journey. There's certain places that the marathon goes, and every so many kilometers or every so many miles, there are checkpoints on the road where there's a clinic, where there's refreshment, where there is bathroom, right? There's all the different things that you're going to need to run a marathon. So it is with the journey of destiny. Your Orisi Waju envisions the whole track, and it envisions all of the different resources you're going to need along the way. So part of what I'm asking you to do is to envision, but also to remember backwards, or excuse me, to remember forward, right? Envisioning is, in a way, remembering forward, because everything that you need, everything that you are destined to become, you already chose it. Okay? But now you could run past the checkpoint. You could fail to recognize that these people were trying to give you something, some refreshment. You could fail to recognize that these are people along the way who are trying to tend to your wounds, right? You could fail to recognize that, and you could run right past it. That's your choice too, right? So I'm asking you, don't run right past this. Slow down, pay attention to what I'm telling you, and apply the lessons. Okay? Apply the lessons. Try it. So for today, your assignment is, at the very least, talk to 3 people about the lessons of leadership in crisis. Have 3 conversations with people about what it means to lead yourself in the midst of this crisis, because they're having the same crisis with you right now. No matter if they're rich, if they're educated, if they're black, if they're white, talk to the people about your experience, and you're going to learn more about the value of what I'm telling you. All right. And it's going to give you more of what you need to be able to take lesson number 4 really to heart, which is investing in your future, planning for the long haul. Okay. So, as I said before, people will tend to look right now. We'll tend to, be in the middle of a crisis, and we'll focus on what's right in front of us. All right. But that's precisely what makes the long haul more accessible to you. In the art of war, they tell you a couple of things. They tell you attack in a place where the enemy is not defending. You go to a front, right? The best place to attack is a place where the enemy doesn't have any defenses. But it's also a place that the enemy has to protect. It's something that they cannot leave occupied by a foreign body. Okay. It also tells you to attack a place and take a position that's easy to defend and hard to attack. All right. So you attack a place where the enemy has no defense. You take a position that's easy to take and hard to attack. All right. Case in point, let me give you an example, because most of us have never been on a battlefield, right? Well, so we think. But if you go through the hood in LA, in Oakland, in New York, in Atlanta, Miami, you go in through the hood in any city, and what are you going to find? You're going to find all this abandoned real estate. You're going to find storefronts, and you're going to find houses, and you're going to find empty lots, and you're going to find places that have been empty for 10, 15, 20 years, right? Unoccupied, right? That is property that someone has invested in. Right? At some point, someone invested in it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They invested in it because it was cheap. It was cheap. It was a place that nobody was interested in. So it's cheap. So you can invest in it for almost nothing. You can sit on it, and you can wait until the opportunity arises, and the value starts to increase and increase and increase, and then you got something that you paid $100 for. Now it's worth $1 million, right? Because it was totally undefended, right? So we've all seen that. Your mind is prime real estate in the hood. Your mind is prime real estate in the hood. Your natural gifts and talents is prime real estate in the hood. It's there. It's and what's happening? Somebody's investing in it. Your job is investing in it, but what are they doing? They're giving you they're paying you, $1,000 a week, $1,000 a week, $1,000 a week, and that's all they're going to give you. $1,000 a week. You can scratch and scrape and do everything you can to get, 1,100. If you really are, something spectacular, you can get 1,100 a week. You can get 11, right? But you're not going to go from 1,000 to 2. And as I said yesterday, whatever you develop in that capacity is not yours. You're not going to be able to get out of your seat and say, okay, now everything that I develop, I set the stage. Junior's going to take my seat now and work here for me. I'm going to live on the beach. You can't give Junior your seat at your job, even though you've been in there working and cranking for 15, 20 years. It's not going to happen. Likewise, you can't just take everything that you have in that you develop at your job and take it home with you and then start to use it for yourself. That's not permissible. If you do, you got to hide it. And if you reach a certain level, it's illegal, right? At a certain level of leadership within a corporate environment, you cannot take your intellectual capital and just distribute it freely, right? They're not going to allow you to do that. So what I want you to understand is that when I say invest in your future and take the long perspective, this is the importance of getting trained. This is the importance of self-discovery. This is the importance of self-development, because these are things that you develop by yourself and for yourself, and then you have the capacity to use them at your discretion. Now, another one of the shortcomings, one of the things that's going to prevent you from being able to take what I'm saying really to heart, is that you've been conditioned towards event thinking. You look back and you think about the housing bust, you think about 9/11, you think about the financial bailout in 2008, and you keep going back. You think about those as events. You've normalized those in your thinking as events. But you don't really take into consideration how everything changed as a result of those events. You're not properly evaluating how certain policies, certain laws, certain practices came into effect after the 2008 bailout, after 9/11, after the housing bust, after the dot-com bust. Things changed, policies changed, rules changed, orders changed. Wealth was redistributed. Every time one of those things happens, one of the most significant outcomes is that wealth gets, the flow of wealth gets moved around on the board. So the wealth used to flow like this. Now the wealth is flowing like that, which means a whole bunch of people lose jobs. A whole bunch of people end up having to move, right? So right now we're looking again things like gentrification. Gentrification didn't just happen. You can go to any city planning meeting and check out their notes over the last 5, 10, 15 years, and you can see that they've known that this was going to happen. You look at something like Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina, that didn't just happen. Yeah, the storm just took place. That was an event. The storm was an event. But everything that happened in the wake of the storm took 15, 20 years to create. The stage took time to build, right? People started talking about the levees and the way taxes moved and all this kind of stuff. All of that took years to create that environment, so that when the storm hit, it created a certain impact, and there was a certain, you know what I'm saying, a wave. There was an outcome. Things changed. People moved. There's a whole spread of Louisiana people, New Orleans people, who are now all over the country because of that event. So what I want to encourage you to do is understand that none of this stuff is an event. This quarantine, this is not an event. This is part of a longer process, and the process will develop. The process will evolve. Okay? We are in, again, what stage of the quarantine are we in right now? Are we in stage 1? Are we in stage 2? Are we in stage 5? Are we going to skip stage 6? Where are we? Because this is a process, and somebody is measuring and charting that process. You need to be charting that process at the very least for yourself. Right now is the time for you to invest. Right now is the time for you to think about how can you invest in your natural gifts and talents, so that 6 months from now, when things shift, you're going to have an advantage. In a year from now, when things shift, you're going to have an advantage. Try to start anticipating how you want to be when things start to evolve, when things start to open up, because they are going to. Envision how the money is going to change. That flow of money is going to shift. Before 9/11, what was TSA? Before 9/11, what was TSA? There was no such thing as TSA, right? So now that's a whole worldwide industry, millions and millions and millions of jobs, and there are a whole bunch of millions and millions of subsidiary work and contracts that come out of that. Who makes their uniforms? Who cleans the uniforms? Right? Who makes the machinery? Who maintains the machinery? These are all things that you've got to start to take into consideration given your natural gifts and talents. How do you want to position yourself so that as things evolve, because as this situation, the coronavirus and all this, some things are going to be different. You have a unique perspective on what that is. So for example, for me, it's certain that this kind of education, this kind of a learning process is going to continue to intensify. There's going to be an increased need for online learning and education. And at this very moment, everybody's at home, right? I wouldn't go live. I've gone live 4 days in a row, deliberately. I don't get into the whole live thing, right? But I understand that this is a unique opportunity for me to talk to people. Friday at 11 o'clock is otherwise that would be, you know what I'm saying? I'd be talking to myself. So because of this unique opportunity, it allows me to share. It allows me to plant seeds. It allows me to create other kinds of opportunities to teach and to learn. From your perspective, it's going to be something different. You have another set of opportunities. Okay? You have a different set, and it's important that you take advantage of those, but you got to look and you got to think. Where do I want to be as this situation starts to evolve? But you've got to think in terms of process, not events. Think process, not event. Self-discovery is a process. It's not an event. Which is why I say, get trained before you get initiated. Initiation is an event. Sacrifice, that's an event. Using a charm, that's an event. It's isolated. It falls right into a discrete moment. Self-discovery is a process. Your, refining your skills, improving your skills, mastering your skills and your tools, the tools associated with your trade. That's a process. Sacred service, identifying who you serve, showing up in their lives, and constantly and continuously improving your delivery of service. That's a process. It's not an event. Okay? So part of what I'm trying to do is shift you away from the conditioning, which is event oriented, right? Because we think of Katrina as an event, 9/11 as an event, 2008 bailout as an event, dot-com bust, those aren't events. Those are processes. And it takes years to set the stage for those processes. And that process, once the event takes place, it takes years for that process to grow and to evolve. We're thinking about things going back to normal. Things aren't going to go back to normal. Things are going to continue to evolve. Yesterday is finished. There's a new tomorrow on the horizon. Don't let somebody else create that tomorrow for you. Take responsibility for creating that tomorrow for yourself. Tap into what your ODCYJU can do for you. Envision, remember, forward, create, organize, plan, strategize to put yourself on track for something greater for yourself, something more desirable for yourself, something more authentic, something more consistent with what you chose in the prenatal state. All right? That's your challenge for today. Envision and plan according to what you chose in the beginning. Okay? So you invest now and you harvest later. All right? You invest now and you harvest later. And finally, as it pertains to your spiritual development, you cannot buy instantly that which has to be cultivated from the inside out and built from the ground up. You can buy a building. You can buy a house. That is possible. But as far as your spiritual development, you cannot buy spiritual development. You can buy a shrine for Shango. You can buy beads for Obatala. You can buy medicine for Oshun. Yes, you can. But in order for you to cultivate the Ashe of Shango, the Ashe of Obatala, the Ashe of Oshun, and understand that power in relationship to your own destiny, it's a process. It's a process. It requires development. It requires training. So the final word that I want to give to you today is thank you. Thank you for making time to enjoy the conversation. Thank you for giving this some thought. I'm going to give you repeat that assignment for you today is over the next 24 hours. I want you to talk to 3 people at the very least. Talk to 3 people about the lessons that you learn during crisis. Particularly right now, we're talking about planning for the future, right? Have a conversation with at least 3 people within the next 24 hours. All right. Talk to 3 people about this lesson of leadership during crisis. And if you got any questions for me right now, I'll be more than happy to take those questions and respond as well as I can. Likewise, the comments will always be open. You can raise your question in the comment section, and I will likewise be happy to fill in the blanks and answer whatever I can. As it pertains to training and development, you can go, of course, to my website, obafi.com. I got a great spectrum of classes and books, free material, blog entries, on my social media accounts. I'm perpetually trying to educate and share knowledge and information and insight that's available to you. Yeah, that's really what I think it's all about. Investing in your future, making sure that tomorrow you have more of what you intended to have, when you made your prenatal choice. So that's all I have for you today. Blessings for you on this fantastic Friday. Hope this has been useful to you. I look forward to talking to you all sooner than later. Bye for now. Odabo.